Alrighty, so I've gotten a request to make a tier list um, based on what I think about the state of the game. I've done this before, but that was a long time ago, and I have many more hours and dedication in the game, and I have seen a lot of people that play these classes. I've played these classes. I know their play styles. Um, yeah, so I'll just get right into it, I guess. So first we have, I don't even know what this is. This is like, I think this is Scout. Um, it's a pretty weak class. I mean, it does have some potential in close range, but the move that lets him jump up in the air, really, the only good use for that move is, getting in the air so that you can't take damage. I don't think it's really that good, so I don't know. He's supposed to be a range class. I guess if you can play him correctly, it's good, but he's just power creeped by every other class to touch the game. I'm gonna put him in D. I just really don't think he's good. Next we have Gunner. Um, Gunner is pretty weird. You could put him into a couple of different positions depending on how you play him. But usually, if you play him, he has close moves, and the majority of his moves are long range, and they do a lot of burst damage, but, it requires a little bit of aim. It has mobility, it has a pretty good speed, but it has below average health. I think it's 70. If it's not, it's 80, but his health is okay for how much damage he can do. Honestly, with the playstyles I see, everybody plays pretty campy with this, and the moment somebody gets close, they just use Q to escape and get some extra damage in. So I'm gonna put this at S. I really think, actually no, I'm gonna put it at high A, because I really think it's a very, very good class, and if you use it well, you can dominate the game with it. It's really good. Next we have Mercenary. So I really like this class. I've played Mercenary a lot, just like a laid back character. Mercenary has a self heal, which is pretty good. He has a mobility move, which slashes and it does AOE damage. But the radius is pretty small, and the way that it actually triggers is pretty weird, and most of the time not in your favor. I mean, it does do 15 damage, and if you hit them correctly, they get injured and they can't heal from the health cubes are on the map. So he's very long ranged, and he can play campy, but he's just like the ultimate zoner. This one's hard. I either put him at high B or mid A, just because he's pretty versatile, but there's a couple classes that just absolutely destroy him. So I'm gonna put him at mid A. When I'll put these characters in between here, so that he goes in the mid. Now we have, what is this? Like Marksman, I think. So Marksman by himself, he's okay. I mean, his base damage, I think it's 15. It does even more if you have the mark, which is basically just guaranteed. It's really fast, has a super huge hitbox. Pretty cool. He has like 6 moves because of he has options out of his Q. You can either lay a trap or slow enemies, which is really good. Slow is really good on any character, especially on Marksman, because Marksman is slow and fragile, so you're gonna need all the health you can get. His traps are very annoying if you put them in a health cube or in Final Strike. You basically always win. You know, if you have a bunch of traps set up, especially for characters that like Dancer that are very aggressive, because you can just sit in the traps and they can't really do anything. Um, you know what? I'm gonna put him at high B because you know I don't think he's the best class in the world, but you know he does get work done. It's not that much damage, but it adds up really quickly. Next up, we have Blaster. This is one of the newer characters. I say newer, but like the game hasn't been updated. Like it's like TF2 update dates. Anyway, I don't think he's that good. You know, he has a cool gimmick. He has a finisher, and it actually does a little bit of damage, but it's very easily avoidable, and you're vulnerable by using it. Um, his damage output is relatively low, and well, he shoots straight ahead, but the middle of you know where he is it's kind of like blocked off. If it was like a thing where the bullets would overlap over each other, I think that would be cool. But he has a mark which does some damage. I think it's like 8, but the mark doesn't even work with his one mobility option. He has like 30 speed and like no HP. I'm gonna put him at C 100%. I really don't think that he's that good. Um, you know, he's fragile. He doesn't have much mobility options, and he doesn't do that much damage. Next up, we have Sniper. So a lot of people are gonna give me opinions on this. Um, Sniper is either like a really good character. You know, if you can hit like headshots 40 damage, like that's crazy. You know, because every like 6 seconds or whatever the cooldown for his mega shot, um, you know, you have a chance at that much, and it just does 20. Um, a true damage is very good for taking down Juggernauts. Um, because you know they're slow too. Uh, I mean, damage doesn't scale with HP like of a lot of other classes things, but you know, I still think it's good. Um, I mean, it does have a cripple too, which plays in its moveset. Um, because I personally see how you you shouldn't just get like I feel like it depends on who you're playing against, like really heavily, like not their class, but like who you're playing against, because you know maybe you know they might get not hit or like maybe have different strafe patterns. You know, that's hard to adjust to. I think yeah, I'm gonna put him at B because he has a lot of damage potential, but it's hard to get that damage off. Next, we have Archer. This is my second favorite of the ranged classes. Um, has opportunity to do a lot of damage and has mobility. Also has knockback and one of the most fastest attacks in the game. Um, if you have it charged and you have all 9 arrows, and you know how to swap between modes, um, it's pretty good. But the only criticism I have is that literally every other like you use power 90% of the time. Explosive is for when you know you use like Q and then it does like a ton of damage, or if you're risky, you can go in for power and that scatter shot is gonna do like 90 damage max. Um, the arrows do go in a random direction though, so you know I think I'm gonna put Archer at low A because I really feel like that mobility that you can just have, mobility that does damage on a character that's a glass cannon is really good. Like that's just amazing. Already, one of my personal favorites actually, um, Mage. So Mage has a lot of damage potential. Um, Mage has a unique debuff, which is also crazy. It's overtime damage, and you just do double damage. It's crazy. I think he definitely has one of the best moves in the game. His Q that does knockback and does 5 damage with this like a 1.5 second cooldown. I think it's 2 seconds. Is really crazy on a glass cannon like this. It allows you to put distance between your enemies, and that's really powerful if you're playing Mage, because Mage is all about control. If you're in a 1v1 and you have somebody close to you, if you hit him back, that sets up for like 90% of his other moves. So I'm putting him at S. I really think that he's just busted. He does damage over time, which bypasses force field, I believe. And so if you hit somebody with your despair orb, and then they go into final strike, they can't really like run away. I don't know. I think that's just like a cool feature. But his F, where he casts out that huge energy ball, does 20 damage and 40. I've seen so many times where I'm playing this class, and some samurai comes up, and they think they're winning because like I'm on 30 HP or something, and then I just hit them with the spare orb and that energy blast, and it instantly does like 60 damage. It's crazy, just because the cooldowns are low on the two most important moves, LB and Q. Those are insane. But arguably, I mean, you can take advantage of Mage's kind of short range, but I mean, I still don't think it matters, just because just how much damage. If your enemy slips up like one time, you have like a 30% chance to just do half their health, and even more just because the spare orb is crazy. So yeah, I'm definitely putting this at S. Alrighty, next up we have Wizard. Another pretty good class in the burst category. Wizard doesn't really have that much of a neutral game. Most people just use the combo, and then use that energy orb for just free damage. Pre-nerf, when everything on Wizard stunned, 100% S. There's just no way. He's just the best class in the game. But right now, he's still pretty good. If you know how to zone people out and actually hit like the Starburst, and go into the combo, that combo does a lot of damage. The only downside is that like if you're playing a multiplayer mode and you have an Alchemist or something that buffs you for attack, since his critical is neutral damage, it won't do extra damage. So I mean, that doesn't really matter, but just overall, I think I'm putting him in high A. He's really good. He's really easy to pick up, and he does a lot of damage, and yeah, just pretty easy to use. Okay, next up we have Grenadier. This is a really interesting class, because of the gunpowder effect. Using Q, I think, or is it E? I'm not sure. I think it's Q. One of his moves, he fires a scatter shot, and it inflicts gunpowder, which actually does more damage, or more knockback when you hit somebody with your F, the knockback move, which is, by the way, just like amazing. It's top tier. It's 15 damage and a ton of knockback. It's crazy. But Grenadier, you really have to like stay medium range from somebody, because Grenadier doesn't have mobility, doesn't have that much HP, just like 0 survivability, but he does tons of damage. So you have to stay, relatively far away. But it's like risk reward at this point. If you know when to go in and you know when to hit the scatter shot for the gunpowder, yeah, it's great. Like you can, you go in, hit somebody with a scatter shot, and that just sets up, especially in Final Strike, that just sets up for tons of knockback. I'm putting him in high B just because he dies 90% of the time that you use your Q at close range. Okay, next up we have Astronaut. I think Astronaut is just he's just worse Druid at this point. You know, you can't really control where the orbs he shoots goes. I mean, like, I guess, you know, if you hit somebody with it, it does 10 damage and it also like moves a little bit back. So maybe you can do that, but most of the time you're just gonna be hitting walls with it. Once, basically, you can set up a safety bubble, but then as soon as somebody gets inside of it, you're basically just screwed. Like, you have to hit your one attack, otherwise you're done. Especially with characters that their play style heavily, you know, makes fun of the fact that a lot of characters are slow and they have to set up for things. Like classes that are really fast, like Thief and Dancer. I really don't think Astronaut is good. I'm putting him in C, like mid C, because you know he can do some damage and he's pretty good in capture the point, but there's just an escort, but you know there's just so much that you know is exploitable. So I'm just gonna put him in mid C. Alrighty, here's Bomber. I've actually covered this class before on a 7 minutes or less video. Go check that out, by the way. This is the first character in the series, and yeah, I actually like really enjoyed making that video. Just because Bomber is so fun. He does a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. His mobility moves to 15 with an AoE hitbox. It's crazy. Like, this is some elementalist neutral E kind of stuff that you see, because it just does so much damage and it's super fast. One of his best moves is the one I'm just talking about. He has AoE, and you know it hits for 15, and it also knocks you back. So like, and it also does knockback. So it really just puts a lot of distance between you and your enemy, especially since you know you have that remote bomb, which you can set up for a lot of different things. Most of the time, if you want consistent damage, just walk up to them and spam E and Q. If you hit that and you're mashing L and B at the same time, you do like 35 damage. It's actually crazy. Along with that stun too, they just can't do anything. And the main gimmick where you know you have the bomb on your back that you can throw. If you throw it at the correct time and you know where they're gonna go, like if you can read people really well, yeah, it's just a busted class. I'm still putting it at mid A though. It's just crazy. It has mobility, it does tons of damage, and a really good gimmick. Okay, next we have one of the new classes again, like Blaster. Here's Necromancer, and Necromancer's gimmick is that you can have 10 soul shards at a time, and whenever somebody dies, you get one. And whenever you hit somebody with your main attack, you get 2. Actually, I think it's whenever somebody dies, you get 2, but I'm not sure. So, okay, Necromancer has potential to do huge damage, alright? Because of one of his abilities, it's an AoE. It's kind of like the Starburst that Wizard has, but, you know, it gives Panic instead of just Stun. And Panic is crazy, alright? You do 8 damage with that, which is, I mean, like, below average. But then, you're able to set up for just farming tons of soul fragments, because what Panic does is, you can't do anything, right? And you always move backwards, and it's like, I don't know, for like a second and a half. That's crazy for setups. Especially because you run away, too. If it was just like a 1.5 second stun, you know, you can't really do anything. But, it costs 3 soul fragments to use, and if you hit E or Q, and you successfully like hit it, you know, you get a setup for like 4 soul fragments and like 28 damage, which is just crazy, and especially if you're in a critical strike, um, because they walk into the void and they take tons of void damage. I'm gonna put this at mid-high A because Necromancer has one of the best moves in the game. That panic is so good, and it's also exclusive, which is just crazy. Alright, so we have Illusionist here. I'm gonna just be honest and say, I don't play Illusionist just because it's too hard. From what I've seen though, I do know that Illusionist can set up for tons of damage. Okay, so Illusionist has like really high damage potential and immunity, mobility, and what is it? Yeah, and a special move. Yeah, Illusionist can do wonders if you know how to play him. You get that shatter mark, you like 20 damage and a stun, which is just crazy. I know that his F can switch between different things, and I think you can set up for an alternate like attack. It's like more complicated Gladiator at this point, because it does a ton of damage, and it has an isolation feature, but it's not as straightforward, but it does pay off if you know how to play him. I'm gonna put him at mid B, just because it takes so long for people to like learn him, and it kind of discourages people from playing him. As a class, I definitely put him at like A. I'll do that. I'll definitely put him in A, because he's really good. He's kind of busted actually. Next we have Priest, starting off strong from support. I really like Priest, just because you can play it and like help your teammates, but you can also play really aggressive. That's just like a thing you can do, which not that many support classes have that, where they can reliably heal and do a ton of damage. With the exception of Fairy, but we'll get to that. I'm just gonna put him in B, and I'll explain why. So, has a bind, right? But Priest doesn't have that much HP, and using that Q, if you know how to juke people, like if you know how to jump around rocks and stuff in the terrain, yeah, it's definitely really good. Just because you can regain like all your health, but if you're not reliably doing damage, which you can, especially like that one move where it summons like a beam and it does 15 damage. That's crazy for a support character. 15 damage in one hit is awesome. Awesome. So like, if you can have a lot of funny setups with it. Like for example, if somebody's camping on top of a pillar in that castle map, you can just hit him with that, because it reaches to the top of the map. It's crazy. I really like it. Yeah, healer, like mediocre damage, especially just because Priest is just so slow. Now I'm gonna put it at B, especially because LMB doesn't really travel that fast. Okay, next we have Medic. I really like this class. It's funny. Sleep Dart, you can do some stuff with that. Medic has a reliable healing source, and also has the potential to do a lot of damage, and also can debuff, which I think is really good. You can play him as like a ranged character too. But just because he just dies to rush characters, I'm gonna put him at high B. I would put him at mid A, but just the meta that people are playing right now, like it's all samurai, warrior, dancer. They're all rush characters. I don't think he's that good against them. Um, yeah, that's my rating. Okay, next we have Bishop. I've actually covered this class before. I think it was like 2 days ago. Um, so Bishop's like pretty good. Has an immunity, basically a stun and long range. Like it's just super reliable damage. If you hit one thing, you'll hit the rest of your combo. You know, I mean, it does fall short in 2v1s, especially if they know when to back out. But it is good against cooldown hackers, and just because of that, I'm gonna put it in mid A. I was gonna put it in low A, just because there's a lot of ways to exploit it. Like if you have like if you're playing like Hitman or Mercenary, and you're like in Final Strike, Mercenary can just camp you out, especially because he has mobility and stuff. So yeah, I'll put him in mid A. Next you have Programmer, the class that literally like every single 3-year-old plays, like as soon as they get credits. I really don't think Programmer's that good. Before he was like he was just garbage, just utter trash. But now, I think he's like in high C because you can, I guess, if you're like a low tier player, you can like TP around the map, maybe get some kills here and there. But in reality, you're not going to be hitting those shots. It's not really like a bullet hell that startup. I just don't think the startup on his regular move is that good, so I'm just putting it in high C. So next we have Controller. I really like this character. I'm gonna put him. I'll put him below Bomber, just because he has a heal. He's a ranged character that can put out a lot of damage. He can disable. A disable that does damage is also crazy, by the way. That's just busted. And he has knockback capabilities. Nothing really special. I mean, once you learn, like hotkeys and how to move the drone efficiently, it's actually like pretty good. But the only downside is actually, yeah, I'll put them in low A just because you have to stay in one place the entire round. If you're trying to chase somebody, it never works. All right, next we have Alchemist. I this is my old name. And now that I look back at it, it's kind of bad that I made Alchemist because he's kind of like a BS character. Um, I'm putting him in high A just because he has insane mobility. He's just super flexible, and especially if you don't if you just want raw damage, you don't have to use any of the buffs because if you didn't know, having at least tier 1 in your research level, or whatever it's called, like experimentation level, I don't know, you do like 3 more damage, which is crazy. I just want to say, his LMB is one of the best in the game. It's so good. With his moveset, it's amazing because it just encourages strafing, and you get to research level 1, you drink it, you get to research level 1 again, and then strafe around people while hitting them with it. That's like 4 seconds of 15 damage, which is actually crazy, especially just because you get that haste. And okay, he's just so good. You can it just adapts for every single situation. You can have +2 defense, like if you're low on HP and you don't want to heal because your enemy like doesn't have true damage, like you can just drink defense. If your enemy is a character that like if the fight keeps going on longer, like Dancer, you'll just lose. You can just use attack. Like it's just busted, and especially because you can buff your allies when debuffing like foes. It's crazy in team deathmatch games. You know, it's just a great class all around. Okay, now I have Warrior. Yeah, that's just an instant best character in the game. Mobility, technically self-heal, um, massive burst damage, inescapable, what else? It's virtually just zero cooldown. Like, his attacks are crazy. He has projectiles, and, like, what more could you ask for? You know, on a setup, you can do, like, a max of 86 damage, and then, you know, you wait for your measly cooldowns. You wait, like, 8 seconds to get that setup again. Like, it's actually busted. You can combo, like, virtually every single move that he has combos into, like, itself, which is just crazy. He's great for taking out Dancer, which just, like, I mean, I was gonna put him, like, here, once the other characters that I think are really good, came on here, but I'm just putting him in the top, just because he's so busted. He has tons of health. You know, he's great for crowd control. He just, like, never dies, and he does tons of damage, so I'm 100% putting him at S. Alright, next we have Berserker. I think this is Berserker. Yeah, it's a projectile, some mobility, I guess. And what's his last move? I know that he has a thing where he jumps up in the air and then makes it AoE, and then he has the slash that reduces defense by 5, which is crazy, by the way. That's busted. Minus 5 defense is just awesome. But I'm trying to think about what his other move is. It's like, no, it's not Slayers. Whatever it is, I do remember playing him, and I do remember saying to myself, you know, he's not that good if you're playing against a zoner. I'm gonna put him at, you know, I'm gonna put him in mid low A, because he really can be good, like very good against certain classes. So yeah, I'm definitely putting him there. All right, Destroyer. So this class, before it was nerfed, was pretty good. You know, like, you could do that strategy where you get all 4 rocks lined up, and you could, like, basically every single time hit your enemy with it, which is massive damage. But I mean, now it's only 3 rocks, and they nerfed it. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's that good. I'm actually gonna put him in mid C. People are gonna disagree with me, but he has super long cooldowns. He's slow, no mobility. Doesn't really do that much damage anymore, and you can never get a stagger off. Like, you can never, like, hit them for a stun if they have stagger on them, just because of his cooldowns. Like, you can run right into him, bait out one attack with, like, an immunity or a counter or something, and you just immediately win against him. I'm putting him in C. Next is Slayer. So I've seen a lot of people play this. I personally don't. His gimmick is that he can execute people on red health. I think it's cool. You know, if you can get it off, like, it's awesome. But the problem is, I like tested it out, because, you know, I was playing against a lot of Slayers, and I was, like, never getting hit by their stuff. And I was like, man, this is so janky. Like, what is this hitbox? So I tested it out. Hitbox is terrible. All right, you can be off by like a centimeter, you know, and it won't give you that much leeway. Like, it has to be exactly like where the thing is. Not like, okay, so you know how, like, if you have like a circular what is it? Like, bullet, right? It'll have like a square hitbox. For this, it just doesn't. Like, it's super janky and weird. You can do a lot of damage with it, and it does have like an anti-escape tool, but, you know, it's just worse Cowboy lasso, you know? he is tanky. I was going to put him at high C, but I think I'm gonna put him in low B now. Like I just don't like, his execute. That's his gimmick, and that's like his finisher, but it just doesn't work. So yeah, I'm definitely putting him there. All right, I've tried to cover this class before. Spearman. I really enjoy Spearman. Uh, it's a good class. Um, it's relatively tanky for its damage output. It has a knockback tool, which does a lot of damage, which is really good. Um, and it has a get over here type of thing. It's just really long. It's a longer range. It's a medium to long range, which I really like. Um, but it does benefit if you play at medium range more, because you can hit more things, and when you hit people, you do more damage than if you hit them from afar, like like halfway across the map or something. Um, I think I'm gonna put him. I don't think he's better than Bishop, so I'm gonna put him in mid A. He's very versatile, and if you can play him well, yeah, he's really good, and he's just like a fun class. I actually have, I don't even know who this is. Fighter, yeah. Um, I've seen a lot of people in lobbies pop off with Fighter, but I just don't know how they do it. Like I don't know how it works. Like I've played it before. I have tried my hardest to try him out and be like, oh man, yeah, I'm rolling with this, right? Like I'm killing people. I feel like I'm picking up steam, but I just don't. Like I play this class, and every time that I play it, like I just get obliterated by any class. Like for all I care, you could play Scout and you'd beat me. Like I don't know. I'm just because, yeah, I'll put it in mid C. I mean, because I just don't think it's that good. Oh man, this is the character that everyone loves. Yeah, this is just high. Like Samurai, pretty busted. I'm not gonna lie. Um, you know, you can hit people um, for massive damage and true damage, which is just like a nice touch. I really do wish that true damage played a larger role, because it's very, very situational. Um, but his regular slash does a lot of damage, and it has just the most. Okay, it's not even comparable to Slayer's Slayer's execute. Like it's so janky in a good way. It hits everywhere within like a 13-mile radius and causes collateral damage to 130 miles. Like it's crazy. Um, he has a lot of mix-ups. You just can't run from Samurai. If you're at like a small disadvantage, you just lose, because he's always gonna hit your shots. If you hit your shots, you're fine. But if Samurai hits his shots, you're just done. He has huge DPS, high amount of HP, and insane mobility. For a Berserker class like that, yeah, just absolutely crazy. Easily the best in Berserker. Alrighty, here's Recon, and he's going straight in the garbage. Yeah, he's just bad. Like before the rework, he was like S tier, like he was up here, right? I don't know how he went from all the way up here to all the way down here. Like he's so trash. I'm putting it at the lowest. I think he's just the worst character in the game. Um, he I guess he has one move. His one move that does the most damage is an HP based move, which is not good. Um, well, I mean, I guess it's good for some classes like Duelist, just because you can get it off like a lot on some classes, but his thing is like a percentage of missing HP. So I don't, it's okay, but here's the thing. Here's the funny part. Since it's based on missing HP, you might be like, oh, well, you only take like half the effort to, kill him because, you've got the HP thing. Well, one, you're not gonna hit it, right? Like you're just never gonna hit it. It has a tiny hitbox, and you can see it from super far away. Um, and next, you know, it's, he's super short ranged. Okay, if you play a character with literally any projectile or any burst damage, like you, dude, like I could beat Recon with taking like 2 hits with Blaster. Like it's just so dumb. Um, if developers come back to this game, they need to buff Recon again, just because he's terrible. Um, he has virtually no mobility. His stealth is pretty useless. Just because he can't really do any special abilities out of it. He has like one mobility move that it sucks. Or he has no, he actually has pretty good mobility, but he's like old programmer. He has no offense at all. Like it's just so bad. So yeah, I'm definitely putting it at D. Alrighty, now we have Thief. Yeah, it's just about like, yeah, it's just right here. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, Thief is kind of busted. It's just so good. It's a rushdown character, which is already amazing. Like if you're one of those characters that can take advantage of other characters for just being their character, that's really good. Um, except for this case, Thief is just better at everything. Um, he has busted lifesteal. Okay, um, he has a 2-second large mobility. It goes forwards and upwards. Roll. He's the fastest class in the game and has mobility. Like why? Why would you do that? He has 40 speed, which is like the best in the game. Second highest is 35. Um, but like, dude, what was Epic smoking when he made this character? Dude, 40 speed, lifesteal, mobility, debuffs. Like, what do you mean? He has a projectile. He has a thing where if you use his roll and in the middle of the roll you use a different ability, the cooldown, you still get lifesteal. You do like 8 damage, and you get the thing again in like 1 second, which is just crazy because of the fact it's like a 2-second cooldown on a large hitbox, um, lifesteal, uh, just damage booster. Like it's just free. It's just free healing, free damage, free healing. It's actually crazy. Um, you can play Thief, you can pick it up, and if you know about the tech where you use a roll and then you use circular slash, that you just win the game. It's just such a good class. You get close, use um, roll into circular slash, and you use your projectile that makes them do 9 less damage if you hit everything, and do 15 damage. Spam L and B, and when they use their other ability, uh, because they're at full health at this point. There's no way that you're at low health. Um, and as soon as I hit you, just regenerate all of your health by hitting with lifesteal again. Like it's just so crazy. Yeah, this character needs to be nerfed. This is like basically top priority, except for Warrior, because Warrior is just busted. All right, here's a class from Assassin that isn't super good or super trash. Um, here's Ninja. Um, has a pretty unique shotgun LMB that does 5 damage per shuriken. I think that's how I pronounce it. Yeah. Um, and it's a burst. It's pretty good if you can get in close. He has a dash that does damage, which is that's good. Like I respect it. I don't know how much damage it does. I think it's either 10 or 12, maybe 15. Um, but he has a boomerang attack. which we've seen from Rangers look really good. And he has a smoke bomb which can blind. The only bad part is that he's semi-slow, and he doesn't really have that much of a neutral game. Um, just because you're going to be using a lot of his stuff into other stuff. I'm going to put him in... Yeah, I'll put him in. I'll put him in high B, just because he's not the best, but he's pretty good. Okay, here we have Stalker. Stalker used to be one of the best classes in the game. One of his abilities used to be, well, he still has, except for the lifesteal part. He dashes forward, and if he, tags somebody with it, like a second and a half later, they would take 15 damage, and before Stalker were to heal, I think it was either 15 or 10 HP. Like, why would you do that? It's a class that, I mean, it has very high potential to kill dudes really fast. You hit them a couple times, they try and run, you hit them with that slash that does delayed damage, and then you go in. You have a invisibility cloak that is very spammable and super dumb. It even gives you extra speed, and if you use that and then hit somebody when they're below 50% health or 50% health or lower with execution blades, they're just done. You just can't do anything about it. It's actually busted. Because it scales, his execution blades hit twice. Nerf that. Like that's just crazy. And they do tons of damage. The only problem is that if you can't hit that, it's not really that good because you just die immediately. So yeah, I'd put him at the king of B tier. Yeah. Next we have Hitman. This is a bugged character, but I guess it's good that it's bugged because he would be too overpowered, if he wasn't. So basically his gimmick is he starts off in the match with a target, and what's supposed to happen is that you do like, I think it's either 50 or 25% more damage to the target, which even if it's 25, that's busted with his moveset. I really like how they designed Hitman's moveset, where like you just can't run or heavily punishes you. Technically two of his moves have cripple, and that's just really good. I mean, it's not as good as slow or shock, but it's a long cripple, and it's very easy to hit. He's unique in that he has alternate attacking moves for basically all of his moves. Your LMB becomes a gun that does 9 damage to a slash that does 12 damage, depending on how close you are to them, which helps in aiming. Like, yeah, if you're close to somebody and you've hit them from a short range, you'll do extra damage, which is also nice. But your target also does 25% more damage to you, so it's like it benefits Hitman, because the only thing stopping him from becoming an amazing character is just if he had just a little bit more damage. Because he does so much damage. He can injure, cripple. He has great mobility, and invisibility. He's just a good character overall. I'm gonna put him in high A because I really think that he's just a good character. Alright, here we have everyone's favorite JoJo Stan character. So Trickster, another character from Assassin, used to be very good. Very high speed. Had lots of potential on setups. His setup move isn't that good anymore. It's just like another one of those things, kind of like Hitman, where it just takes up a slot, or like Elementalist. it really doesn't do anything. You can't really make setups with it anymore. I mean, I guess it's good if you're in a 2v1 and, you know, you're like in an alley and there's like two dudes on each side. But it's really not that good. He has conflicting moves. So like if you set up for a triple knife throw but you want to go invisible before, you know, that's just not going to happen. Just because Epic made it so that if you have three knives when you come out of the animation of being invisible, it actually doesn't AoE, which frankly sucks. But I mean, I guess it's cool. But his only redeeming feature is that he has bleed and that it goes through immunities and everything. And it's busted if your character is squishy and doesn't have that much mobility. Kind of like Mage. If you play Mage against Trickster, the Trickster always wins. Like there's just no way. Um, so for that reason, just because it's very good in situational purposes, I'm going to put him at low B. Before I was going to put him in mid C, but now I'm going to put him in, you know, low B, just because he can be really good. Alright, next we have Gambler. This class used to actually be good, like viable, usable, out of this assassin category. His gimmick is that, like Ninja, he throws out, you know, 3 poker chips, and if you hit somebody with one of them, you get 2 back. Each time that you use his moves, they use a certain amount of, you know, coins or money. You get money by actually hitting people with it. His LMP, if you hit somebody with it, you know, it costs 1 coin to use, but you get 2 back. So, he also has a move that makes you take 15 damage, but gain double up, which lets you get double coins. And you also just get 10 coins, which is pretty good. Especially because it deteriorates camping. But, you know, he has a move that does up to 30 damage, and it's an AoE, like with a really wide hitbox. But, you know, it's like a one-shot character, right? You know, if you lose all your coins, you're going to have to take 50 damage, and it is not good for a squishy character like Gambler. Before, you could have up to 100 coins, now you can only have up to 50, and his finisher did 40 damage. I personally disagree with debuffing him. You should have just made it so that he only has 50 coins, so that, you know, his finisher is really finisher. I'm going to have to put him in mid B. He's really not that good anymore. He's only good if you can get like 3 shotgun hits a couple times. So yeah, I'm putting him in mid B. All right, on to the tank classes. First up we have Defender. Pretty strong. Has a very high amount of HP. And has a lot of damage potential. He has an AoE, but it is standstill. But the rest of his moves do inflict slow and stun. So he doesn't have any mobility, but he has moves that decrease yours. He has got 30 speed. I think that he's a pretty overall like good character. Can debuff. He's got really high health, and he has a relatively above average damage output. So yeah, I'm feeling generous. I'll put him in low A. Like he's an A- for me. Yeah, he's pretty good. All right, next we have a very unique character, Knight. He is very unique in the sense that he is the only character in the game out of the like 50 characters to have an actual counter. Like other characters have absorb, like Duelist. I don't think anybody else has one. I think it's just Knight and Duelist that have semi counters. but Knight is the only class that have a counter. Um, Basically, you use it, and it has a busted time frame. It's like 1 second. It's kind of like Bayonetta's Witch Time from Smash 4, except like a little bit worse. Um, it does 50%, 150% damage of that move to them, and they get stunned. It's pretty crazy. Only thing is, Knight has pretty long cooldowns and like 0 mobility, but just because of his counter, I'm going to put him in low A. But obviously higher than Defender because, Knight is just more consistent. But, since, he's got his low mobility, that's kind of just like a game ender. Especially if you're playing against a class, like, for, say, like, Samurai or Spearman or Hitman, you're going to get rushed down, and it's not going to be good if you miss your counter. Because counter can 100% turn the tides of, or the turntables on the opponent. If you're on 50 and your enemy. Okay, here's the best example of this. Okay, if you're watching this right now, and you're on Critical Strike, and you wanna have some fun, if there's somebody in your server who's playing Cowboy, and they're relatively new, like they only have like 500 kills, pick Knight, purposely get low, and see if they use High Noon. If you time it correctly, and you counter it, oh, it's so funny. I've gotten like 3 of these off. It's just because I don't play Knight, but it does so much. Since it Cowboy's High Noon skills with HP, just sit there, tank it with your counter, and it does like 100 damage. It's so funny. And that carries the rating too. Yeah, I'm putting a low A. All right, next up we have Paladin. I've actually played this class a fair amount of times. I'd say it's my most played tank class in the category. Um, so Paladin has a self heal for tank that's amazing, but it's one of the only things in the game. Actually, it is the only thing in the game that removes virtually all negative debuffs. Um, if you have Spare on you, gone. If you have Deathmark on you, gone. You have Toxic from Mushroom, gone. It's pretty good. Um, so you can negate some characters' gimmicks. Um, and he does have 150 health, which is nice. He has a projectile which staggers, and he has a knock-up ability that does 15 damage, but it's also kind of short range. Um, I'd say it's like pretty good. Especially because that self heal. I'm actually gonna put it in. Surprisingly, I think it deserves a spot in mid A. Of course, not as good as probably right here. Below Wizard actually. Actually, no. I'm willing to say that it's better than Wizard. I really do think that's really good. All right, next we have. I don't even know what this is. Like Guardian. I just don't play this class. It has a +8 defense rush mechanic, which just makes you do like or take no damage, but it has no ways of doing damage like ever. Um, it just mostly gets camped out. It's like Valkyrie, uh, where you just you just sit there and do the same things over and over and over again. It's super annoying. I think I have to put him in. I'm gonna put him in low C. He is just not good at all. Alright, next we have a very underrated class, Juggernaut. I think this character is very, very underrated. Um, 200 HP, can't be camped out in Final Strike. Has AoE, does a ton of damage, gets stronger. whenever you hit them, and they have debuff immunity, which is insane because a lot of classes in this game rely on debuffs. So basically, if you're Alchemist, well, no, Alchemist is still fine because you can self buff, but you get the point. I'm gonna put him in mid A, just because I just think Juggernaut is great. I'm actually willing to put him above Berserker. All right. One of the new tank classes, Monk, the first tank class to have only 100 health. Um, well, except Valkyrie, but like Valkyrie was like changed to have that much HP. It was 125 before. Um, but this is a character that had 100 HP on release. If used correctly, Monk can do a lot of damage, but I don't think that it's that worth it. The whole karma system and standing still is just a it's bad whenever you're fighting somebody. It's a gimmick that you can't use in battles, which I don't really like, and I'm gonna put him in high C because he has potential to do damage, but most of his moves just kind of suck. I don't really vibe with them. Okay, next we have Phantom. This is actually an old screenshot, and we're on the special classes. But assuming, because this is version 5.7.5, this is the reworked Phantom, and Phantom's okay. Um, he does have a very high amount of damage if you hit it correctly. Um, he has good mobility. Actually, like I'm gonna just say like above average mobility because he has moves that do things out of it. He has a shotgun move, which is also ranged in the projectiles. Um, the bad part, he doesn't have really any good debuffs that you can hit reliably. Like blind, I mean, I guess you can hit somebody with your projectile if they're running and going to middle for the HP cube, but that's very situational, and the chances of you actually hitting it is really low. Um, he does do a lot of damage, and he has above average mobility, but his health is a little bit lacking. I'm willing to put him in low A, but that's just my opinion. All right, here's Frost, the new Frost. So here's the thing: you either immediately die as Frost or you immediately win as Frost. Um, he can no longer jump after his ice path, but he does have a neutral damage move, and he has setup moves like for Frostbite. And Frostbite is really cool. You hit somebody with a move that inflicts it, they go slower, and if you hit them with another move that inflicts Frostbite, it does a certain thing depending on which move you use to inflict it. I'm not sure which is which. I know one is double damage and one is stun, but I'm not sure which one is which. But he has the lowest HP in the game, besides Thief, unless Thief has 770 or something. I don't know, but I don't vibe with Frost, but other people do, and they have exceeded with it. I'm going to put it above Bishop. I think it's really good. If you can play it correctly, which a lot of people have shown that they can. Alrighty, everyone's favorite clown, Jester. This class, I'm not, I'm gonna be real. It's really annoying. Um, it's one of the most annoying classes. I mean, arguably one of the most annoying classes, besides Programmer and Final Strike, that camps you out if you're using a range class. Um, in the game, I really do think it's annoying. Um, but I'm gonna just have to put it right here. It's very good. It may be slow, but it has mobility that is safe. For safe mobility for an assassin is amazing. Um, that's why Thief is up here, because, you know, he has really fast mobility, and you can lifesteal from it and do damage. So it's really safe, and people will be scared of it. Um, just like Jester, he does have the box, which is great, because it can do upwards of, like, I'm not sure, because when he comes out of the box, it does AoE damage, and then 4 bombs. So if you're directly in the middle, which, I mean, is unlikely, but if you're directly in the middle, you can do massive damage. If it let's say it does 10, I think the AoE blast does 15. That's like 55 damage, which is crazy. Um, Especially because it's a safe option. If you're getting rushed, you can easily use that to escape, and then use the Jester Ball to get in the air and stall for your cooldown. It has a Boomerang LMB, which is just crazy. Boomerang LMB is awesome. And then it has its invisibility, which I'm not gonna lie, it's not that good. Um, but it's the only class in the game that has a skin that affects gameplay. Uh, because you can tell when it's going to go off if you're a normal Jester. Um, because, like, if you just memorize the song, um, which if you play Critical Strike for more than 10 hours, you have it memorized. Like, it's just in your brain. So I'm gonna have to say, assuming that you have the skin on, yeah, I think it's high A. I think it's really good. Alright, next we have the most annoying class in the game. If I said that it was the most for Jester, I was lying, basically. But here's Bunny. Has amazing mobility, and is just a spam class. It has been reworked. Developers have told us that they would, but I don't think the game's gonna get updated ever. Um, like it's just annoying. Like if you're an aggressive, slow character and you don't know how to deal with it, it's so annoying. But honestly, I really don't think it's that good. I'm gonna put it in mid B. Um, well, 2 of its moves don't do damage, so it's hard to really call it a DPS character. Um, it's not that aggressive. It really isn't. Um, at least that's what I think anyway. Here is another class that everybody buys as soon as they have enough tokens for it. Cowboy. Yeah, has just, it's basically just for people who don't have aim, basically. Because its finisher is basically inescapable, depending on what happens. And combine that with the super high velocity bullets and mobility, it's crazy. And plus it does percent of damage, so unless you're playing against like a dancer or something, you know, if you're playing against Juggernaut, that's really good, because you know they don't really get an advantage over you, especially because um, you know, like he's unique in the fact that, you know, Cowboy doesn't really rely on debuffs. He doesn't have any debuffs. Um, you can do a crazy tech where in Final Strike, you whip somebody over the edge, and then, or lasso, and then, you know, you use it again. You bounce up in the air to them. You take 4 damage, and then you hit them again with it, and then use High Noon, and it kills like 100% of the time. Either that, or, you know, they're left on like 10, but it's very hard to pull off. I'm still gonna put him in mid A though, just because, you know, he's really good. He's one of like the best classes that has like scaling damage based on HP. So yeah, I think he's serving in that spot. Okay, Gladiator. Um, Honestly, I don't think this class is that good against experienced players. But if there's any teamers, yeah, this is amazing. Um, Assuming you're playing against teamers, which I'm just gonna do that because, you know, you don't really like play Gladiator unless there's teamers. Assuming you're playing against teamers and it's only a 2v1, I'm going to put this in high A. Just because, like, it's just so busted for against teamers because, one, teamers, I've noticed that they play classes that will work best, like if they can camp you out, right? Because I mean, teamers aren't the most respectful people. Um, so if you're playing against a teamer and you're like, oh man, these guys are annoying, I want them out of my game. Just pick Gladiator. He's got a cripple, which plays into the if the teamers are playing zoner classes. Uh, so they can't really escape. And it has 2 mobility moves that do damage, which is actually like really good. And one of them, if you land it, it has good mobility, but it also basically just stops the movement. So yeah, it's crazy against teamers. It's really useful if you're against teamers. Next we have Turkey. This is a really iffy class, um, just because it got nerfed, but it's still good. But I don't know if it's deserving of A, because it does a lot of damage, and you can stack like 5 burns, and that's crazy too. But they're hard to hit. I'm gonna put it in mid B, because it's countered by any class that does burst damage. I just don't think, I don't think it's that good. Oh boy, do I even have to say anything about this? Yeah, this is just going up there. Um, Most annoying class in the game by far. Um, Now that I think about it, yeah, dude, Bunny and Jester don't even like. If you combine them together, they don't even amount to this. Like, I mean, I'm actually just gonna put it in low S. It's busted. It has every single move that it has is annoying in a way where either you take unnecessary, like just tons of damage, or you get knocked in the air and can't do anything about it. It's like the more you hit people with Dancer, the more you can farm your cooldowns, and then you just have everything left. Like it's just like fighting some dude with an infinity minigun, and you're here using a minigun that you have to reload, right? Because when Dancer, you get hit once and they get all of their cooldowns back. It's so dumb. Pre-nerf was absolute cancer though. 100 health, literally like everything stunned, and hitboxes were huge. Like no, it was easily like the best character in the game. Um, because at the time Warrior wasn't reworked, but now it is, and it's the best class in the game. So yeah, low S 100%. Here's Snowman. Um, yeah, another BS character. Slow, campy, uh, does not promote aggressive gameplay. Um, you just sit there, and then as soon as somebody gets within, like a couple inches, you just hit them with snow, and then Snowman, Ice Spear. It's self-explanatory. I'm putting him in high A just because you can never approach Snowman. Because the moment you do, if you get even one stack of Snowy is overpowered. Okay, just a quick rant. Snowy is just so dumb and overpowered. You get hit by one stack, and then after that, it snowballs. Well, no pun intended. It snowballs into like a thing where, oh my god, you're getting hit for tons of snowy stacks, and then we get punished by getting hit with you get punished for just being an idiot and approaching them. So it's very situational, but it's situational point where like it's great, but it's great, but if it's situational, if you're in a situation where it works, it's even better. There's just no way to counter it. Here's Firecracker. Um, Firecracker is one of those classes that is strictly good in one game mode. I mean, I guess it's kind of good in Final Strike, but assuming that if you're just playing it, I'm gonna put it below Blaster. Actually, Astronaut is probably better than this. Just because you don't have to camp that much. Like it promotes camping, but it doesn't reward it. Because Firecracker is just completely stationary. Like unless you're like 13,000 IQ and you know exactly where to put it and you can predict the trajectory of the firework rockets. Like no, like that's super unrealistic. That's not gonna happen, and you'll never like get your hits off. I mean, his LMB is one of the better ones in the game, uh, because they like explode on their own. But you know, he only has two good moves. It's his Firecracker launcher and his LMB. So yeah, I'm putting him in C. All right, I'm going to be honest. I've only played Snowman in One for All, and or Santa in One for All, and I don't really think he's that good. He just doesn't have the damage output. Like he doesn't have reliable damage output. You either hit somebody like a million times, or you just don't hit him at all. Though he is long range, I'll give him that. So I'm going to put him high B, just because he's long range. He can hit shots. He's anti-zoner basically, and he can also buff teammates. I mean, I don't know. This is I really haven't used I haven't used Santa that much, so this is kind of like a biased opinion from other people that I know who play it. Okay, so I made a video on Fairy. It's like my most popular video on Critical Strike. Fairy is okay. Actually, no, I'm putting this in S. I think it's just good. Like, it's just good. It's nerfed Thief. It's just worse Thief. In all honesty, it's just worse Thief. I'll actually put it like in high. Actually, yeah. I know, yeah, it deserves S, 100%. It has an immunity that is also mobility. It has spammy moves that like have just ungodly cooldowns. Like, what is this? It's got a 10 HP lifesteal that does 10 damage. A pretty fast LMB, and a pretty good projectile too, because it like always hits. Yeah, I think it's great. You getting close with oh yeah, the fairy dust, the LMB, dude, LMB makes wonders. It's so good. It does so much damage. It's like 25 DPS. Um, you can go up to somebody who's slow and just combo the crap out of them. You can just strafe around, and then easy like 40 damage, and then you finish them off with tons of burst damage. Use LMB and all your abilities at the same time, and then if they're charging up for somebody, you get out of there with your fairy form. It's amazing. All right, the no skill class is here once again. I'll give it this though. It's very annoying to play against, if depending on what class you're playing. But it is very funny if you have a teammate that is also using Reaper, because Deathmark actually works for both players, or all players who use Reaper. So let's say you get Reaper One for All. Yeah, everybody has the same universal Deathmark. So it's like if you get hit, that's literally just a death sentence. You're done. So outside of it, I don't think he's that good. Like, his F is super predictable. Like if you get hit by Q, it's very susceptible to counters. But if you do play like if it's a mix-up tactic, he can be unpredictable. You can use since Deathmark, next hit does double damage. If you go in there with your Q and then use your slash attack, that's like 16 damage and a mix up, and it sets up for even more stuff. The F does more damage if you don't use it in Deathmark, like base, but the Deathmark multiplies it. So on a, I don't know. I don't know. Like, okay, it can be good. It can be bad, but it's mostly good. I'll put it below 9. Cause that seems where it is, so I'll put it in low A. Alrighty, Beast. So this is one of the Game Pass classes again. Beast's gimmick is that you use a move, you take 3 damage every half a second, but all of your hits restore like, I think it's 5 HP. Um, which is pretty good. That's a good gimmick. Um, you know, if you hit somebody a bunch of times, you know, you benefit more from that exchange. It's just he has like one of the best life steals in the game, like by itself. Okay, if you well, actually no, because he takes that 3 damage per second or per half a second. Most of the time you take damage, like you don't profit, but they take a ton of damage. So, or more damage than you at least. They're absolutely destroyed by any stalling move in the game. Like Jester's thing, and even Scouts, where he jumps in the air. And then counters, like Duelist's Absorb is crazy. No, you just can't do anything about it. It increases your movement speed too. Just makes you go Super Saiyan. And I don't think it's that good. I mean I'd put it in mid B, just because, you know, I don't see really anybody play it smart. So okay, Chrono. So this class, yet another Game Pass class. Um, Pretty good actually. Hitting a double Q and getting that time stop is juicy. That's amazing. You hit double time. You hit double time warp or whatever it's called, and you know if they get hit for 12, they get slowed. You can even fit in an LMB in there, if you're like frame perfect basically, because you know hitting the first time warp and then hitting the second one, you have to do that in a really short window. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it. Um, it can be very profitable because you do 24 damage plus like 2 hits, and then because they're stopped, you can catch up to them and use your F for 15. It's crazy if you can hit both, but it sucks in any team game mode. Assuming that it's just an elimination, I'm putting this in very high A, because you know this is just it's just a great class in general. Okay, Ghost. The only reason I bought this class, originally anyway, was for the Snowman event, and I still didn't beat it. But then Epic was like, "Hey, now you can buy it for tokens." So, I mean, I guess I did that. Um, like for Santa at least. Um, well, I mean, I guess it's an above average aim character. If you can aim really well, this is the best class in the game. Like if you want a more hands-on sniper class, this is your type of dude. Because it's one of the only classes in the game that has a profitable instant damage attack. Because like with sniper, after pressing F, you have to wait a little bit, so you kind of have to predict where they're gonna move. I'll put him in mid A. A lot of people will disagree, but I'll put him in mid A. So okay, on to one of the most hated classes in all of Critical Strike. Mushroom is good at one thing and one thing only: camping, and you know he's pretty darn good at it. Yeah, he's going in S. Unless you're playing Hitman or not Hitman. Why do I keep getting those mixed up? Unless you're playing Mercenary, yeah, it's just done. Um, like I mean, it is situational though. Any team deathmatch game, if you're playing team deathmatch, if you're playing anything where there's a large group of people, yeah, this is crazy. You have slow speed, but not really, just because you could just get haste. You just can. And you can also heal yourself. His whole gimmick is that you throw out a mushroom and it does procedural damage. It's basically like, if you try to get close, you'll just get obliterated. And then, you know, his LMB is good, which is the worst part. If his LMB wasn't good, like if you had to hope that the mushroom that you place was like a good placement, then you know that would be fine, right? Because like you'd be able to, yeah, you'd be actually able to get in close. But you know, for mushroom, you can't. You just can't get close. Right, here is my personal favorite and actually main, Duelist, brawler class, 100 HP. 35 speed, has 2 mobility moves that do 16 damage each. Or yeah, 16 damage technically each. Has a absorb, which is nice. That's cool. But here's the thing, for like if you're playing against water elemental, you only get 2 HP back. It's like it's a max of 5 HP gained per hit, but if it's under 5, you'll only get the HP back that from the exact damage that you take. Its F Judgment is really good. Hit somebody with it, guaranteed at least 20 damage and stuns for a really long time. Allows you to get some free hits in, and then when they use their mobility to run, you can use your mobility and catch up and do damage. It's crazy. It's really good. Though I do not think it's as good as Samurai. I think Samurai is better, so I'll put it in high A. Okay, now we have probably like I don't know, like the biggest letdown for the Game Pass classes, personally anyway. Rocketeer. Cool gimmick, just sucks though. Has a scout move. It's the just like the thing where you jump in the air and then shoot a bunch of stuff. I think it's good, but the projectiles move like a turtle, and they never do any good damage. His speed for attacking is so bad, especially for a character that's supposed to be ranged. I mean, I guess it does do damage, but his gimmick is that he can shoot oil, and if you light it on fire and people step on it, they get stacks of fire. And if people step on it, they get slowed down for a long time. Actually, it's like 5 seconds, and if you hit them, then they start on fire. Though good luck actually hitting them. Um, a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I'm putting him in D. I do not think that this character is good at all. Actually, no, I'll cut him some slack. I'll put it above Firecracker, but that's all he's getting, so, yeah. Okay, so before we have the biggest letdown, this is my least favorite Game Pass class, Valkyrie. Kinda sucks. They fixed the feature where you could charge while countering. So now it just sucks. Because before you could do that and you wouldn't get any like debuffs out of it. You wouldn't take any risks. But now you do. So C tier. It's just bad. I hate it. Okay, Demon. So Demon was actually nerfed. Demon used to be absolutely crazy. Because all of his moves scaled. I think all of his moves scaled with how much health he had missing, which is a cool mechanic, but it scaled basically up to like 200%, which not really that good of game design. But he's still good. And he does a ton of damage, except for the fact that if you don't use your Q correctly, yeah, you're just dead. Or E, whatever the slashes are. And yeah, I'll put him high B, because I don't think he's deserving of A, but because he is kind of versatile. He does have mobility, but his mobility isn't really that good. And one of his moves is only good. It has a startup, and it's only good if you're low HP. So people can take advantage of you sitting there for a little bit and hit you, and maybe even kill you. So next we have Musketeer. I guess he's okay. I'm actually gonna do this. I'm gonna put him here, and I'm gonna kick Shield Dude down to D. Because I don't think that he's that good. Musketeer, they nerfed him hard. He does less damage, and the bullets on his stuff don't go as fast anymore, so it's not really like a sniper class, and it's not that reliable. Also, he's super squishy. Alright, next we have... I actually don't know the name of this class. It's like... Gunspear? Spear gun? I don't know. He has a ranged attack that gives defense. And the ranged attack is actually good. because you can fire really quick. They buffed him, so his reload speed is better. They used a bullet system, and he has a frost LMB where he does an AoE. His F inflicts cripple, but it sucks because it never hits and it only does 10 damage. And it uses all your bullets. But I will admit, he does have a bomber like E, which is crazy. Bomber's E is busted, so I don't think he's as good as Controller though. Yeah, I'll put him in the bottom of A. Okay, who is this again? Yeah, Admiral. Admiral's in the tank section. Um, he can shotgun and do a ton of damage. And it's also true damage. His Q never hits ever, where he drops the bombs from the ships. I mean, I guess it's okay for like keeping enemies on their toes, but and it doesn't give overheat too, so it's pretty free. His LMB is nice. It does a lot of damage. I'm willing to put it up here. His F is not that good. Actually, no. Yeah, his F isn't that good, so I'm gonna put him in high B. Okay, so Dancer, yeah, Dancer is just up there. Can self-heal, has the most damage potential in the game, realistically anyway. Huge mobility. Every single move is basically like Wind Dancer but buffed, just because you get put in the air. Has untargetable. Just why? Why is that a feature? The combo system does massive damage and shreds tanks. Yeah, just great overall. Okay, we have everybody's favorite BS combo character. I'm just gonna put him in low A. He can do a lot of damage, and throwing people in the void actually does even more damage, but it makes it so that you can't set up for anything. His cripple shot is actually pretty nice, even though the hitbox on his grab is still just really busted. Who is this Ruler? Yeah, Ruler's just going over here. Ruler has no damage output, and he blocks his own projectiles with his shield. If he didn't, he would actually be like really good, just because he can camp people out, but you know, you can't because Ruler just sucks. Okay, Sorcerer. Yeah, you're going in D. Sorcerer, not that good. You're gonna be attacking somebody, and just after using your move, you're vulnerable for like 10 seconds. Just because the only good move that he has is comboing another move into itself, which is not good. For example, like Mage is good because Despair Orb, you don't need to hit anything for it to be good. If you hit him with Despair, like, and you don't hit anything, like that's bad. You know, like that's oh man, I should have gotten that hit. But he still takes overtime damage. But with Sorcerer, you know, he's slow, he has low HP, he has the potential to do a lot of damage, but he just can't because, you know, people are 5 studs faster than him. Next we have Druid. This is just better Astronaut because Druid can actually be used in regular gameplay. If people don't know what Druid is, you can just camp in a corner, and when somebody gets close to you, just hit them for like 150 damage if you have 10 seeds. Yeah, I'll put him in high B. He's pretty good. Just because you can use him outside of any like capture the flag or any like team modes, you know what I mean. And finally, Ranger. Ranger used to be just so good, and he still is. He's really good. He can camp people out. I'll put him below Gunner. He has mobility, and he has shock. He's one of the few characters that can reliably inflict shock. Or even have shock for that matter. He does crazy damage, and he pre-nerf he had some of the most range in the game, and he still has some of the most range in the game. So yeah. All right, that's gonna be the tier list. if you disagree with anything, tell me in the comments, and I'll either refute it or defend it, or I'll respond to it and say, yeah, that makes sense. I really want to see some community discussion on this because I've been playing the game for like a year now, and it's just cool to see like the community and what they think. So anyway, yeah, kind of long video, also like a voice reveal, but I don't really care. Stay safe, don't go out without a mask, and I'll see you later.